Hi! Have you ever wondered what if the virus from 2020 infected technologies too back then? And the direct cause of it was a robo-zombie apocalypse? Luckily for you, there is a game exploring this scenario. With impeccable timing, the gacha game Punishing Grey Raven came out at the end of 2019. I have started playing the game approximately 2 years ago and fell in love with it to the point I wanted to start making videos about it. And here I am, ready to yap about the story, so you can just put this video on the other screen and listen to me while you do your dailies. This will be a multi-part series where I will cover the main story and the side stories, except for alternative interpretation and the event record, unless specifically requested. I will also make some episodes on the affection stories of each frames. I am calling this series a recap because technically I will be talking about what happened in each chapter, but these will be kind of longer recaps, not necessarily deep dives, but I will yap a lot. Take it more as a friend telling you about the entire lore of a game they love. This series will be made for both the people who play the game and the people who don't, but just want to put something on a second monitor, like I said. Also, please keep in mind that I'm still kinda new to content creation and I'm making these videos in my spare time in my bedroom with the technology I own. So the quality of these videos may vary. But I made this YouTube channel to yap about things I love, so I guess it's fine. I will be also linking or referencing other PGR creators for those who are interested in deep dives or theories. So go and give these folks some love. And now, without further ado, allow me to tell you about the story of Punishing Grey Raven. The story basically starts with humanity fucking around and finding out as usual. The more advanced a civilization is, the greater are the consequences when something goes wrong, and this world's civilization was ridiculously advanced. So it can be to no one's surprise that an accident like a leak from the world's most powerful reactor can cause a chain effect that leads to humanity's extinction. And that's exactly what happened. The punishing virus catastrophe originates from humanity's most prestigious laboratories. In few short years, the virus wiped out thousands of years of human civilization, forcing humanity to seek refuge away from Earth. They now reside in a space station called Babylonia, but not everyone was privileged enough to get there. There are some who still live on Earth trying their best to survive, and we will encounter these factions down the line. But I would like to begin the story somewhere else. For a better immersive story experience, I would like to start with our main trio, Liv, Lee, and Lucia. Although their names start with L's, they will be catching none of them. You will soon find out that the main characters of Punishing Grey Raven, actually, majority of the characters from this game, are just built different. And when I mean built, I actually mean built since they are constructs, but yeah, whatever. Lucia's story starts beside her sister Luna. Their parents died during the catastrophe, so now they're left to fend for themselves. But it's primarily Lucia protecting Luna since she's older. The chapter starts with Luna asking Lucia what she found today. Since Lucia found canned meat, Luna is overjoyed. Basically, the majority of this chapter highlights how bad the actual living conditions are. When Lucia opens the can with her pocket knife, Luna insists that Lucia should eat first. Lucia tells her that she already ate on her way back, and we are left to wonder if she lied. Luna believes her and starts eating, but then cries that the meat is sour and also asks Lucia if she will be able to go with her. Lucia rejects this idea, insisting it's too dangerous outside. Luna laments about the fact that she also wants to help her sister and return the favor, because it's always her taking care of Luna and never the other way around. Lucia explains that she promised her parents to take care of her and that she will handle the riskier parts. After telling Luna to just look after the food stash, they hear someone coming. It is a nun, and she's speaking to someone about central purification filter. Apparently, its efficiency is decreasing, but it should last at least few more months. The man tells her that if she wasn't bringing a whole group of children, the army would never guard her on her journey. Now that they are in the city, the nun and the children will have to take care of themselves. The nun knows this and that's why she has been taking those kids with her. The man is silent and the nun low-key snaps at him that it's the servants of God who will take care of children during warfare, and they are allowed to rely on the charity of soldiers in the critical hours. The man is still a bit weirded out from the nun, but then drops it and also offers them a shelter below the church where Lucia and Luna were hiding. He also mentions something about the supplies, but Luna sneezes and alerts them. The nun hears them and freaks out, thinking they're the corrupted. The man yells out for them to come out, and they do, Lucia holding Luna's hand as they slowly walk out of the darkness. The nun asks them where did they come from and tells them to go somewhere else. The man calls her out, and so she accepts them as 2 more mouths to feed. So once they are in their new home, Luna asks Lucia if they're finally safe now. Lucia assures her that they are, and they will be able to feed themselves if they work hard every day. Luna is happy about it, but also notes that Lucia has been coming back later and later these days. But Lucia promises that after this shift they will have all the time in the world together. And so Luna goes to talk to other children, and they praise her sister for working so hard and that she also looks after everyone. A boy asks her if she can spare them some food. She's unsure, and the boy tries to convince her that it's so cold lately and they are all too sick to work and they might not live. She gives it to them, and the boy says that after he will get his strength back, he will repay the favor. The other little girl also agrees, and they live in a group, so they should help each other. Luna just folds and agrees. When Lucia returns to Luna, she gives her a doll that she found outside. She thought that Luna might like it, so she brought it back to her. Luna laughs and thinks it's ugly, but she loves it anyway. When Lucia goes to stock up the food stash, she asks Luna why there is so little food left there. Luna admits that she lent it all to other people. Luna finds nothing wrong with it, but Lucia is stupefied, muttering to herself silently that it's all her fault for not checking the food crate. A blizzard is coming in few days, and all the food supplies are going to be cut off. And that is why she has been coming home so late recently. With this little food, they won't be able to survive. Luna tells her that all the people will return the food afterward, but Lucia retaliates, yelling at Luna, making her cry. Lucia grabs Luna, goes to the hallway, and then yells at everyone to return the food they stole. The crowd just gazes at them and nobody makes a sound. Lucia accuses the right person right off the bat, and the boy admits that he already ate most of the food. He also tells them that they can do whatever they want with him, but he's not giving the food back. Lucia begs everyone, but nobody answers. The nun appears and tells them that they have no one else to blame but their own gullible selves, and to not expect any law upholding around here. And so Lucia and Luna return to the surface, since they don't have any choice but to head out and search for food. Lucia warns Luna to stay close as she fights off every corrupted. This makes Luna ask her if she has been fighting all this time. As more and more corrupted keep coming, Lucia grows tired, but luckily they are saved by a soldier. He calls his supervisor and tells him about the 2 kids fighting off the corrupted. At this point, the 2 girls are slightly injured but look mostly unwell from the malnutrition. And so the supervisor tells him to bring them back to the base for medical care. When they arrive, they are taken care of. Luna is grateful, but Lucia is suspicious. She asks the soldier supervisor what they want from her and her sister. The man, who we now know is called Nicola, tells them that according to their tests, they have a high affinity for Talentum 193. That means that the sisters have a high chance to become constructs. He also explains that it means having a body made out of entirely different materials while still maintaining the human consciousness. Apparently, this is the last hope humanity has against the virus. When Lucia tells him that she just wants her and her sister to live, Nicola asks them if they want to live in a place like this, and then tells them about Babylonia, the last place free of the virus. When the soldier wants to tell him something, Nicola stops him with the words that their mission is to maximize the chances of victory for humanity, and that Lucia will be the ember in the coming darkness, which, if you played the game, is quite spot on. And so the 2 sisters come back to the church with many supplies, and the nun asks them where they have been. She reassures them that nobody will take their stuff even if they speak, but they better keep a close look on them this time. Once they are in bed, Lucia whispers that once she becomes a construct, they will go live in Babylonia and have a new life. Luna agrees, looking forward to the food, drinks, toys, fluffy beds, and hot showers. She also asks Lucia why she doesn't want her to become a construct as well. Lucia explains that the men warned them that the construct technology isn't mature and there might be risks. And once again, she's the one who wants to handle the riskier parts. By now, she's already used to fighting the corrupted, while Luna is not even good with weapons. And so they fall asleep together hugging. And the morning next day, Luna is gone. When Lucia searches for her, a girl tells her that she went with those people in black in the morning. And so Lucia runs after them, praying that Luna didn't do anything stupid. She also fights off every corrupted that comes in her way, injuring herself in the process. When she catches up with the soldiers, she is absolutely livid and asks them where Luna is. Nicola sadly tells her that she has gone under the knife and her procedure failed. During the last stage of the experiment, an immensely strong punishing virus reaction appeared inside her, taking over and corrupting her almost instantly, so she had to be disposed of. When Lucia finds out she will never see her sister again, she has an absolutely valid crash out. We get a scene from a few hours ago when the men in black take many children from the nun, telling her that if the experiments succeed, they will be able to undertake defense missions in this area to protect everyone. Luna leaves the plushie for Lucia with the thought that once she becomes a construct and has to fight somewhere else, Lucia can sleep with it and think of her, just like all the times Luna did before. She doesn't want to part with Lucia, but also this time she wants to be the one to protect her and not the other way around. Liv's story begins with her asking her mom how she has been lately. Her mom is dead and she's just talking to herself. She tells her mom that her dad has brought home a new mother along with her new siblings, so she hasn't been feeling lonely. We cut into a flashback where the father is introducing Liv to her new family. The new mother admires Liv for being well-behaved and gentle, unable of causing any trouble. The two new siblings are also happy about having a younger sister now. The new family members act nicely at first, but soon we find out that this is a Cinderella story. When they ask Liv about her interests, it is quickly established that she is shy and she likes taking care of animals. The brother yaps about how such lowly menial work should be done by machines and also mentions that Liv's father is a chairman of the greatest medical research center. So compared to Liv, the siblings are very nose up. The stepmother looks happy that the children are getting along and asks the father if there's still work at the Med Research Center. He answers that there is a new project coming up, so he will not be home very often, leaving Liv in her new family's care. And if you expected this to end up in a shitty way, you will be absolutely right. This is Punishing Grey Raven and no one is allowed to be happy. And the moment Liv asks the family if there's anything she can help with, it begins. The flashback ends and Liv keeps talking to her mother about all the things she has learned, like cooking meals for 3 in 10 minutes, washing clothes at the minimal amount of water, and other practical skills. After that, she says her goodbyes to her mom in heaven, promising that she will get along with her new family. The story continues with the father announcing that there will be an important dinner and he wants the whole family to come and introduce them to all the important people. The sister mentions that she wants to wear a particular handmade white dress to the dinner. The mother compliments her beauty and then calls out for Liv to bring out the dress. Of course, Liv complies. As the family gets ready, the father asks Liv why she isn't dressed yet. Before she can even speak, the mother speaks for her and how she isn't feeling well and how she doesn't like crowds. Liv just chimes in that she can stay back and take care of the home. After some more convincing from the stepmom, Liv's dad drops it and asks if his daughter has been any trouble lately. She tells him that not only is Liv very nice, she also treats her like her own daughter. The story continues with the virus outbreak. The parents get into an argument about how the mom doesn't want her children to be sent into the battlefield and get infected, and how she wouldn't send them even if it's not the front lines. The father insists that no one, not even him or his family, can run away from this duty, and she pressures him into using his authority as the chairman of the medical research center. Understandably, he gets angry because this war is of all of humanity and there is nowhere to run as long as they are on Earth. The two fall into silence as the house is filled with the sounds of cries, gunfire, and mechanical buzzes of the virtual screen. Liv, now a bit older, chimes in and requests to be put in the war zone. Her stepbrother insists that he won't be going because if he went, there would be no one to take over the father's position in the Med Research Center. Liv stands behind this, saying her father's work needs a successor. The sister also doesn't want to go, arguing that she'll be engaged soon, and again, Liv stands behind it. It is said that if it's Liv going to the war zone, she can do it for the good of humanity. And so they prepare her, which means giving her the white dress. The recruiter takes Liv away and asks the mother if she has any words left for her. Apparently she said everything there's left to say, and the recruiter takes Liv away. He also promises to bring her back after the war ends, which doesn't happen. Now that she's gone, the family's mask slips off, and they are overjoyed that she's gone, of course. The sister even makes a jab that all it took to get rid of her was a simple dress. The mother announces that nobody will do the chores for the siblings anymore, so they gotta do it themselves. The story skips to the battlefield and some soldiers having issues. They have no time to retreat as there's a large number of wounded. Apparently, they have no choice as the corrupted are an army and the longer they will stay, the more will die. So Liv comes to the rescue. We found out from a wounded soldier that all medics have retreated, but not Liv. Nah, she's here to drag their asses out of the mud like the fucking savior she is. The soldier tells her that there is no use in saving anyone here anymore and that it was an honor to meet her in his last moments. She ignores him and tells him what to do to take care of the wound and then moves on to another wounded soldier. After a while, the construct squads arrive onto the battlefield and are confused why are there so many life signals. When they find them, they report to the HQ that they have found one heavily wounded medic and 35 treated soldiers. The construct is impressed that all these soldiers were treated by this one medic, so they decide they have to save her. She awakens in a research lab and is asked for consent to be turned into a construct, as it is the only way to save her life. When she asks why it should be her, they tell her that humanity needs her and that she deserves to live more than many other people, so she accepts. Then we cut into a scene where a soldier goes to Liv's family home and tell them about what happened. She has been awarded a first-class military accolade and has been promoted to a lieutenant, basically becoming the pride of the military. The soldier also gives the family a picture and a letter while the brother asks what those titles mean. The father explains that she achieved the greatest honor. When the brother asks if he'll get the chance to earn it just like Liv, the father tells him that he could only do so if he will join the military, which silences him the fuck up. The letter has a portrait of Liv in a military outfit, Star of Life medal on her chest. The sister admits that now it's her time to be jealous. All pedestrians come to congratulate them and they go back into the house to read the letter. Liv has written that she has brought honor to the family and that she thanks them for the dress, although she didn't have many opportunities to wear it, but she will keep it in her dresser and cherish it. She also tells her brother that the technical advancement brought forward by her father's research saved more people than any medic could have, and she hopes he learns a lot from him. She now has a new home and won't be able to come back, and she also promises to protect everyone. Lee's real name is Maureen. He lives with his younger brother and also has to provide for him because the parents are not in the picture and Murray was born with a heart defect, which should be fine as long as it doesn't develop into an Eisenmenger. I don't know how to pronounce this. So Lee comes back from work and asks Murray how he's feeling. He also tells him to get ready because he'll be getting a surgery soon. Murray tells him that he knows, and he confesses reading some of his books about neural networks and probabilistic programming, and I go ballistic because I studied that shit on university. He also tells him that he couldn't understand anything, so it is quickly established that Lee is quite smart. Lee gives Murray a small robot, and Murray asks if he made it. Of course he did. Murray gets excited and tells him that he might be smarter than the people who wrote those articles. Morian says that they are probably equally smart and then asks what 100, 010, and 001 mean. It means 421 in binary, which is Murray's birthday. Lee then proceeds to explain binary to his little brother and also mentions that the robot can be made a bit better if only he got his hands on this one particular chip. The scene skips to Lee talking to a doctor. Murray needs immediate care and his condition will grow dire if he doesn't get a heart transplant as soon as possible. Lee is also in a bad situation as he needs to find a donor, the surgery will be costly and there is also a queue, so the doctor tells him to be prepared for the worst. So Morian admits that now's not the time for him to drown himself in research, not at least until he has enough money for his brother's surgery. They're living in a tech monopoly of a world and there are walls everywhere, and even if Morian's CV is sent through the system, it's not gonna pass through the initial filtering. Which means getting a job is next to impossible and he will have to consider more darker ways of obtaining money. The scene skips to Lee talking to a teenager and telling him to cut the crap and asking where is Hyena. The teenager tells him the location and asks him if he's ready. Now we find out that Morian has taken a new alias named Lee and he's doing some stuff that can be classified as shady. Lee also mentions that 30 seconds is enough for a simple gun modification, which made me realize that when I saw him for the first time, it only took me 30 seconds to start liking him and download the game because of him. So in order to get rid of Hyena and not get his clothes dirty, he gives the gun a necessary performance upgrade. We return to the scene of the two brothers talking, and Murray notes that Morian has been coming home early recently. Morian then explains that he's doing a great job finishing his work early and that's why he has more time for him. Murray thinks Morian is a mechanical engineer and he also admires that he works for a big company and he has a cool outfit and wishes to be like him someday. Morian tells him that that day will come and he will be even cooler than his older brother is. Then Murray falls to the floor and almost fucking dies. Morian picks him up and laments that the heart issues are getting worse. Murray tells him that he is fine and doesn't want Morian to be mad at him. And then he confesses that he has been sneaking out for the past few days and spent all the money that he has been saving on the chip his brother wanted. I need to once again remind you that this is Punishing Grey Raven and no one is allowed to be happy. Morian laments some more and then thanks him as it is exactly the chip he needed and also tells him that he did a great job. Murray tells him that when he won't be able to be by his brother's side, this little robot can stand in for him because now it has a new chip that it needed. When Morian meets up with the teenager again, the teen has to give him a reality check that getting such a large sum of money that he needs for the surgery in a short amount of time is impossible. But since Morian needs this money, he hears the kid out on a rumor that a lab is recruiting test subjects with an excellent pay. The teen will hook him up with this lab, but it's very suspicious and Lee should think this through. Of course, Lee doesn't care and he will do whatever it takes if it means Mori can live. And so he goes to the lab where he is told that his Talantum-19 affinity is almost perfect and he will be an excellent subject. Lee asks the researcher about his and his brother's HLA and if they match, which makes it obvious that he plans on giving his heart to his brother. He agrees to everything as long as the lab keeps the other end of the bargain, which means the money for the surgery, an urgent slot for the operation, and a guaranteed normal life for Murray afterward, and also his heart transplantation. The researcher agrees and also makes a promise to ensure Murray will have a highest degree of privileges for the rest of his life and even a ticket to Babylonia. Please remember this for the future. The researcher also tested Mori's Talentum 193 affinity, and it is also high, so they ask if Liv would perhaps consider an artificial heart for him. This way, Liv wouldn't have to take any risks. He warns the researcher not to ever think about touching his brother, and he fully knows the danger of the experiments. They are gambling with lives here, and he would rather risk his own than to risk his brother's. When the researcher tells him not to be so pessimistic, and if the experiment succeeds, he cuts her off, saying that he's not interested in their plans. The researcher will have someone bring Mori there before the experiment begins, and he'll get the best of the best to perform the surgery. After that, the researcher tells Lee to give Mori his last goodbyes as a human, only for the next scene to skip to Morian being in a fucking tank, shit connected to his spine, and Mori witnessing it, becoming absolutely terrified and probably developing the worst trauma of his life. Mori asks why is his brother locked up and what is even happening. He assaults him with even more questions, but Morian just tells him not to be afraid. He might be gone for a short while, but the new job pays really well. He also tells his brother to behave and to have the transplant surgery, reassuring him that everything will be alright. Mori doesn't want any of this. He wants to go with his brother, but he promises to be good, to study, to behave, and begs Morian to take him with him. Lee calls him out on his behavior and acting spoiled, but also promises that he will come back to him. So now we finally get to the prologue. The story starts with Lucia and the Commandant, who is a stand-in for the player. Lucia is injured and begs the Commandant to turn off her pain receptors so she can fight as more corrupted are coming, and the Commandant has one last anti-punishing serum. The other Grey Raven members are yet to arrive, so Lucia has to buy time for the Commandant to retreat. But if Commandant turns off the pain receptors, it could cause a deviation of Lucia's mind, which I will just call mind. Luckily, as long as the Commandant and Lucia's consciousnesses are linked, Commandant's mind beacon will allow Lucia to stay human. While Lucia is on reboot, the corrupted keep coming, so Commandant has to take out his trusty Glock before she comes back online. The corrupted frames don't stop, even with that load of bullets. But Commandant holds their own, and Lucia steps in the moment she comes online, and she starts absolutely ripping apart the corrupted, and we get a call from Liv, the second member of the Grey Raven squad. As Lucia slaughters everything in her way, we get our first taste of the gameplay. Lucia keeps close to the Commandant as her symptoms of mind deviation starts showing. Apparently, maintaining a close contact with the Commandant can help stabilizing it. After a while, Lucia and the Commandant arrive at their destination, the rest of the Grey Raven squad. Liv is the healer of the group and she freaks out from how much the two are injured. Liv and Lee call Lucia reckless for turning off her pain receptors, and Lee even scolds her a little. Now you get to see the dynamic of the group, which makes even more sense after you know the characters' story quests and their origin. It is also evident that all of them are introverted as fuck and they haven't been working together for long. Liv is unable to fight now because reasons, but she can still provide data support. We find out that Lee's hand is also injured, proving the entire squad had a rough day. Lee gives the Commandant more serums so they can move on with their original plan, which is to recover City 015. When they will be done exterminating the corrupted, the engineering force will arrive and rebuild the city into a frontier for humanity on Earth. But they have to regroup with the other squads first. Thanks to her reboot, Lucia has got an updated map of the area, and turns out nearby is a church that has a shortcut to the nearest meeting point. Arriving at the church, Lucia gets a strange sense of déjà vu. She explains it occasionally happens, and Lee reassures her that it's not an unusual occurrence, as the mind system is a complete simulation of the human consciousness model. All of this might be foreshadowing, by the way. There's also a jab from Lee that all of them have skeletons in their closets, which is also foreshadowing. They move forward until they meet a mysterious individual. A girl in red with white hair who seems suspiciously familiar. She's a construct, and at first they think she's an ally. They are deadly mistaken as ghostly red electricity starts swirling around her, so they assume that she's corrupted. Lucia suddenly starts feeling strange, errors in her visual signals preventing her from seeing the girl's face. But the other Grey Raven members can see her just fine, so they freak out about Lucia, and the girl just utters Lucia's name. The error, the fault, must end here. Those are her final words before she attacks Lucia with her Crimson Blade. Not only she beats Lucia in the battle, she nails her to a nearby wall as we see in a harrowing image. This woman is to be reckoned with. She also finds the fact that Lucia's pain receptors are turned off pitiful, and she's prepared to end it on the spot until the Commandant shoots at her. She parries the bullet and deflects it away, as she's the storm that is approaching. Her gaze slowly travels to the Commandant and she makes a jab at humans. Her fierceness is now directed at the Commandant and she asks them if they're prepared to die along with Lucia. The Commandant just takes out the combat knife. Remember, they are a Sigma Giga Chad. In a flash, she's standing before them, and as the Commandant attacks, her blade pierces their arm in the same position as Lucia's wound. She asks them if they can really stand in Lucia's shoes and understand her, and the Commandant answers yes. And Lucia finishes his words, explaining that their minds are linked. The enemy steps back as Lucia admits that she trusts Commandant with her life. The construct woman says that it means the tragedy will go on, and she looks forward about her choice after learning the truth. The last thing she tells her is to open her eyes and see the humans for who they really are through her precious Commandant. Then she sheaths the weapon and walks away into a blinding sunlight. Before she vanishes completely, she gazes meaningfully at the Commandant for the last time. Continuing with the chapter Graffiti Art, Liv rushes to Lucia and starts treating her. Lee apologizes for not being of much help. It was a miracle that Lucia survived for this long against this kind of an opponent. Lee points out that the woman's blade strategy was very similar to Lucia's, that's why she was able to guess where to dodge, which means Lucia was beaten at her own game. The group ponders why Lucia was the only one affected when it came to her visual receptors. So Lee proceeds to mansplain. The battle data was recorded and they will have to wait for its analysis to make any conclusions. They go back to the meeting point and encounter many construct remains. The corrupted have baited the constructs and Grey Raven too. They also get a distress signal and go investigate just as the corrupted surround the signal. Some corrupted are just scavenging for new body parts. The weaker the corrupted, the more power they want. The Grey Raven are still injured, so they have some trouble during the fighting. They also find a survivor and they help him. Apparently, the corrupted have formed an organization. We are currently witnessing the first steps towards the virus evolution. Some strange graffiti art is drawing in the corrupted and they are the only ones who can understand it. The surviving construct gives Lucia his functional arm so she can fight. He also points towards the supplies so Grey Raven can move on. And Lee helps Lucia with the arm. They arrive to the supplies, bodies laying around, painted by graffiti art. There is a voice in the darkness murmuring that somebody came to destroy his work again. The graffiti paint is mixed with construct vital fluid and other very dangerous stuff that can be used as a bomb. The corrupted are learning and evolving and they also go great length to destroy humanity. Now that they have the supplies, they can finish the mission. Liv tries to connect to the mind of the dead construct to read their memory data and get intel about their enemy. From the memories, she can find out that the corrupted were being grouped around the graffiti, perhaps admiring it? But they have no consciousnesses, they shouldn't be able to do that. This is a clear display of free will. And what killed those constructs was cleaning the graffiti, which made the corrupted very angry. The big corrupted from the memories has found them and they go to fight it. And it's clearly showing signs of having consciousness of its own. Also, it is attacking with paint. They almost catch it, but it escapes, and at least they find out that it's a painter robot. That's why it was creating artistic things. The Grey Raven starts talking about it, as artistic expressions of robots are and always should be supervised and guided by humans. They decide to follow the paint marks to track it and get some more answers. Selika, and I will call her that because I have no idea how to pronounce her name, contacts them and updates them about the situation in Babylonia. They handled most of the situations, but there's still a bit interference from the corrupted space station. Keep this one in mind, it will become more relevant later in the story. Selika is concerned about their situation, but they reassure her that they already found supplies and that they are fine. Lucia also explains who they are tracking and Selika helps them find it. They will need to cross a shopping street and a defensive line of the corrupted. They start preparing on the shopping street, but Lucia starts to space out as this is her first time inside a shop. Liv takes her to look around and we get a nice bittersweet bonding scene of the girls. They even get plushies. After that they found Nozzle and it has some followers now. When they go to fight it, Nozzle name drops the Ascendants. Grey Raven are about to ask who are the Ascendants. Nozzle doesn't want to answer. Lee banters with Nozzle even more and then we get answers from him and holy shit, he's actually expressing free will and he has a somewhat functional consciousness. He also keeps yapping about how humans failed and now it's the new age of the machines. Also, he mentions he has been enlightened by the Sage Machina, which will also become relevant to the story down the line, but I didn't get that far just yet. And it wants to spread their philosophy. The Grey Raven kill his audience and then they go to defeat him as it gets even more corrupted by the punishing. As it dies, it keeps yapping more about how nor humans nor the Asnet are the future. Just as they are ready to extract his memory, Selika calls because President Hassan has ordered to temporarily stop the mission. They go back to Babylonia and the Commandant meets Asimov. There's something that's top secret that he doesn't want to tell us, but the way he's mentioning it already lets us know that something is wrong. Asimov keeps yapping and then leaves, but President Nicola wants to talk to him about the Lucia situation. He bitches at the Commandant and then leaves with Asimov. After that, the Commandant finally meets Selika in flesh. Hassan is also there and he's chill as fuck, truly a Giga Chad. The higher-ups of Babylonia have kept a close watch on the Grey Raven squad. He tells the Commandant that their squad is special and some more tests await them. They also talk about the things they found in Nozzle's memory. In the hidden side of this chapter, you will find out about what happened to Nozzle. I will not cover this because it's not that important and the vid will be already too long. I can summarize it in saying that Nozzle truly had a character arc where he gained free will, proving once again that this world is very much fucked up. And he also met Tifa, who will become relevant in this next chapter. In the chapter Journey of Torture, the Grey Raven are sent back to Earth to finish the mission. This time around, they have to defeat a special corrupted model named the Iron Maiden and retrieve more information about the Ascendants. Apparently, the Iron Maiden is very strong, so they will have to work with the other squads. The plan is to set up some special devices to help them repel the corrupted so they can take down the Iron Maiden. When Liv and Lee talk about it, Liv mentions being surprised that Lee is from Kurono, which is the name of the lab that Lee made a deal with. Remember the name because you will hear about it in the future more than once. Just as Lee explains he wasn't that involved with Kurono, we meet a new construct friend. She introduces herself as Nanami and she's kinda weird but still friendly. Lee is a bit sussed out because of her, but she's here to help even though she doesn't have a squad. She even impresses everybody by fixing one of the special devices. Then she just leaves because she has to investigate the graffiti. As the Grey Raven go, setting up all the devices, they get a connection request deep from the corruption zone. It's from the support type construct named Tifa of Suzaku squad. Liv points out that the Suzaku Commandant was KIA few days prior and all the constructs lost connection and no one was recalled. Lee also mentions that a massive loss of construct squads started happening around that time, so they speculate if the true culprit might have been the Iron Maiden and not Nozzle. Lucia warns the Commandant not to connect to that signal, but they go investigate it anyway. Suddenly, Vera, a construct from the squad Cerberus, contacts the Grey Raven. From the interaction, Vera and Lee already go way back and probably not in a good way, as Lee tells her that leaving Kurono and joining the Grey Raven has restored his humanity. Vera surprises them, saying that Tifa, the Iron Maiden, is her squad's target. They even banter after she says that it will be the Cerberus who will take the Iron Maiden down. After she provokes them enough, she hangs up, and Lee explains who Vera is and that she was also in Kurono. Cerberus are also one of the squads directly under Nicola. It is also mentioned that there was a brutal filtering system in Kurono and the members would do anything to achieve their goals. They move on after agreeing that they will rather work with the other squads. As they get closer to the signal of Tifa, it's weird they don't hear any guns blazing from Cerberus. But Cerberus are still clearly moving on the map, so they just brush it off and continue. They find a discarded inverted device. It was Tifa's, and clearly she took it off herself, which is basically a suicide. They also find the rest of the Suzaku squad, now corrupted. Vera calls them yet again, as Tifa is with them and the signal was a bluff or something, or she just wanted to misdirect them. Lee scolds her for doing irresponsible stuff on such an important mission. They banter some more and then Vera hangs up, ready to finish Tifa off, and Lee points out that it can't be that easy, otherwise they wouldn't send so many squads. They find out info from the memories of the two corrupted squad members. Their commandant got infected and Tifa couldn't save him. After the Suzaku commandant died, an Ascendant appeared and started telling shit to Tifa, making her think she was weak, and he offered her an opportunity to get powerful. All this for a dead commandant that she was in love with. The name of this Ascendant is Roland, and because of his honeyed words, Tifa ignored her squad and removed her inverted device, submitting. In the hidden part of the chapter, Tifa is already defeated and Vera is talking to a construct named Chrome and is surprised that they have moved Tifa's body back to the base. Chrome reassures her that the base should be safe enough even with her viral density. They need to read her mind, as it is a rare opportunity to gain info about the enemy, and Liv will be the one doing it. So basically we are told the tragic story of Tifa from when she joined the Suzaku squad as a support construct. She fell in love with the commandant and blamed herself for his death. In the next piece of the memory, Tifa snaps back to reality and is frightened over her new body. Roland announces that she has been successfully modified. He asks her about how she feels and then makes a jab about how this process was much more humane than turning a human into a construct and that the pain will soon pass. Tifa laments about how Roland lied to her, as she is still not strong enough. Then Roland explains that she needs to get accustomed to controlling the virus. He tells her that she needs to prove herself, as she isn't the only one who is special. She becomes obsessed with the power and kills everything in her path. We also get a shot of Tifa ripping a robot into shreds. Roland marvels over what he created as Tifa goes to fight the constructs and completely massacres them. She creates even more mess, destroying all the ISO devices. In the same memory, Chrome contacts his squadmate named Kamui. Kamui reports that there are no Ascendants but a monster with a lot of spikes. So Chrome informs him that it is the Iron Maiden and he should leave her to the other squads. Unfortunately, Kamui made an eye contact with Tifa and they go fight, with Chrome telling him to hold his fort before he gets there. While they're fighting and she's winning, she wonders aloud why would Ascendants share such a wonderful power, especially Roland, and she's about to say something else but abruptly stops. As Kamui wonders about the name drop, Tifa stops fighting and just leaves him. The chapter final exhibition starts with the two Ascendants, Roland and Gabriel. They bicker and it is very obvious that they hate each other. Roland is trying to convince Gabriel that he's only interested in protecting Luna, who is the current leader of their group of Ascendants. In the next scene, Luna can be seen sitting on the throne, while Roland is standing next to her as the corrupted beg them to let them into the Ascension network. The corrupted want to be relieved of the punishing virus, but Luna explains that only by accepting and embracing it they can control its power. Roland announces that only if they prove themselves they will be let into the Asnet, meaning they will have to be deadlier than the virus itself. He also announces that a bunch of humans will be coming soon, so they can use that opportunity. Luna tells Roland not to mess around, and they also mention some seed, which will probably become relevant, but I'm not sure anymore. The scene switches to Kamui, who is contacted by Chrome. He's being guided by the comms because his sense of direction is shit, and on his way he encounters Roland and mistakes him for an ally. Kamui straight up admits that he's on his way to reinforce the Grey Raven and asks Roland for directions, and Roland just shows him. He's just chill like that. The Grey Raven arrive at the museum estate where the Ascendant traces ended. The dialogue option lets us either ask about the museum or what is the corruption situation. The museum apparently has anti-punishing virus measures built in since the post-pandemic age and acted as a shelter facility until the Great Withdrawal. Even if the punishing density is lower, they're still receiving distress signals from recon squads, so the enemies here are clearly not just the corrupted. As of now, we know shit about the Ascendants or their powers. We do some scouting around and Kamui arrives just as Lucia gets wounded. Here we get a curious piece of dialogue which reveals that Lucia doesn't know who Kamui is, but Kamui remembers her from when they entered service. Keep that in your mind for later. He also gives her a silly compliment that she looks better than she did back then. Lee politely tells him to shut the fuck up, or at least to wait before they deal with their enemies. This makes Kamui leave to deal with said enemies, and Liv notices that he's a tank, but has like no scratches. Grey Raven doesn't have a tank in their team, by the way. Since Kamui is a ball of sunshine, but doesn't pay attention, he's grateful that Lee warns him before he gets randomly whacked. We get a piece of dialogue of Lee's thoughts that he claims he will probably not be friends with Kamui, since the motherfucker turns his back on his enemies before he checks that they are even dead. So Kamui introduces himself, and he's a tank type construct just as Liv predicted, and he's also the member of Strike Hawk. His mission is to track one of the Ascendants. He also spills the intel about the Asnet, and Lucia asks what Ascendant he's after and if it isn't someone with long white hair in a red outfit. Kamui just answers, "I don't know, does it matter?" And so they head off into the museum. And Kamui triggers the entire museum security system, which is of the highest alert, by the way. He's dedicated to clean up his own messes, so he follows the Grey Raven and also starts bickering with Lee. As they get to another closed door, they receive a signal telling them to leave this place while they still can. The mysterious person is revealed to be the butler of this estate, and he's there to protect the inheritance of the estate owner. Kamui greets him like the chill guy he is, but the butler warns them again and mentions that he's contacting them through a private channel. Kamui explains that they can't leave because they have a mission to finish and asks him about the Ascendant he's looking for. The butler apologizes and says that he can't help. Kamui asks why did he even contact them through a private channel, and he also tells him to come out, and the butler just hangs up. So the Grey Raven press forward and notice that there are fights happening elsewhere in the estate. Liv also picks up a friendly construct signal in the courtyard. They're apparently fighting an extremely powerful corrupted, several magnitudes above Tifa, so it's clearly a fucking Ascendant. We get another piece of dialogue about Lucia not remembering training with Kamui. Again, this is just a reminder this will become relevant. The butler has taken some repercussions and gives them a last warning with the words that he's trying to protect them. They ignore him and press on. As they get to the courtyard, they notice from the signal that the squads finished fighting and they are all intact, but for some reason they are not responding. Lee notices that the enemy concentration is near their destination, so they're a bit cooked. We get a little sneak mission here with Lucia because of course she is the most capable one. It is eerily quiet and Lee asks if Kamui remembers what happened to the Suzaku squad. Lee also notes that the Ascendant is familiar with the construct body structures and they also know how to destroy parts and modules effectively and even modify constructs into unique corrupted. Just when you think humanity isn't cooked enough, you have this running around. So Lee has a theory. It is highly possible that an Ascendant can modify constructs into other forms and make them send false signals while maintaining their vital signals. So you know what might be coming. They arrive, no enemies found, all constructs are there, alive but not corrupted and also not talking, totally not a trap. Lucia goes to inspect one of the constructs and he warns her with dying breath to stay away, and then he fucking explodes. All of them have installed motion bombs inside of them. Roland comes and greets them. Kamui recognizes him and finally realizes that he is the Ascendant he has been chasing after, and Roland just straight up confirms it. Kamui becomes sad because he thought Roland was a good guy, and Roland just laughs at him and then admits that he doesn't dislike people like him, and if it weren't for the punishing virus, they might have been good friends. Kamui rushes forward and angrily swings his blade. Roland dodges it because he is just smooth like that. They bicker and Roland calls him a simpleton. Lucia warns Kamui not to engage by himself and Roland excuses himself with the promise that he will come back for the Grey Ravens. This fight is between him and Kamui. He parries Kamui's blows with ease. The butler appears and Roland tells him to fight in his stead. After we defeat him, he thanks us for releasing him and then he attempts to self-destruct. Roland doesn't let him go without demeaning him a bit. He also lets the tired Kamui go and then turns to Grey Raven. Before we start fighting, Roland says that he doesn't mind if everyone joins the fight, but only one of them will be left standing. They all start fighting and Roland mentions that they are weak just as she said. He got too cocky and then got a blow from Kamui. Roland also spills the beans that his target was Kamui all along. Then he swings the weapon around, breaking all the pillars, making a huge stone fall between the Grey Raven and Roland, blocking them off. It is Lee who yells at Kamui that they are not leaving him here, even if Kamui told them to go. Chrome, the leader of Strike Hawk, calls Kamui, worried about the fact that his corruption level is rising rapidly. As he asks what's happening, Kamui collapses. In the hidden part of the chapter, a train crashes into the building and Roland just exits, unscathed, sleek and shit. We fight as Roland, who intends to make this destination a battlefield just like Luna intended. And I forgot to mention, yes, it is the Luna. Sage Machina is mentioned, and apparently Gabriel hates them. The butler notices him through the security camera system and tells him to leave. Of course Roland doesn't. Gabriel calls Roland that Luna is following the Grey Raven and she will be there soon, and if Roland will greet them with this current setup, Luna will be disappointed. Roland says he's working on it and Gabriel notices that he's having too much fun. They bicker and Gabriel warns him not to disappoint Luna. In the courtyard, the construct squads arrived tracking the Ascendants, namely him. Of course, he beats them up, then puts bombs into them all while removing their invert devices. He then arrives to the hall where the butler evades him, angry over the mess he has caused. They fight and Roland wins, infecting the Rolls blade with the punishing virus. So, that will be all for this video. In the next one, I will cover the entire corruption section and the character stories of Watanabe, Bianca, Nanami, Karenina and Kamui. This will be one heck of a long series, as there is already a lot of story content released with new patches adding even more. This will not be a PGR-centered channel, but I will keep working primarily on this project with some videos on other topics and media scattered here and there. So if you liked this video and would like to see more, I would be very happy if you leave a like and subscribe. I also stream on Twitch almost every Friday, and I might start streaming on some Thursdays and Saturdays too, so feel free to come and hang out. Thank you for watching, and unless I will be run over and isekai'd into another dimension, you will hear me in the next video. Goodbye!